yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Tuesday, October the 3rd, 2023. How are you all doing? I hope you're well and enjoying the start of your October, the spooky season, some people call it. Anyways, I've taken a week off work, so I am taking opportunity to jump in and do some recording, maybe do a couple of videos while I have quiet time in the house. I live here in a small community with my husband Chad and my little puppy Pixel. She's 6 months old and she's laying down napping, so I don't know how long I'm going to get before she decides to wake up and, you know, need some feeding or a walk or a drink of water. So let's just roll with the time that I have here. You might see me wearing the same outfit, and I'm not sure how I'm going to release them, whether they're all going to be bam, 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 one day after the next, or whether I'll postpone them through the course of maybe a couple of weeks. But that will be a decision once I have the videos done and dusted. But here we are. If you're just happening across this channel for the very first time, I want to welcome you. My name's Gary. I set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. In the beginning, just recording for myself, just to document things like a diary of sorts. And I do knitting, crocheting, and I do dabble a little bit in yarn dyeing. So if that is of interest to you, please stick around and enjoy the content. For those returning, I want to say thank you so much for commenting. As always, you support me in a way that you don't ever recognize, but you encourage me to keep doing these awkward videos. And you know, I enjoy all of the knowledge that you share with me because it is very valuable, and I have learned so much from the commenters about yarn that I have never heard of before, or even a work in progress that I might be kind of coming up to a point in a work where you flag me that there's been an alteration or you've had a difficulty and you've worked around it a certain way. So I do like showing my whips because that's kind of like a learn for me as well, that we have that interaction and you're flagging things along the way. So I want to say thank you so much, especially in the last videos that I produced. I want to just say a huge thank you to all those kind commenters who watched Crystal over a bag a day open up a special gift that I sent her for her birthday, and it was a blanket, a crocheted blanket, and just the beautiful things that you had to say about the make. But also we celebrate Crystal because she's such a gifted person. She's very talented. She was the one who encouraged me to learn crochet, pick up a hook and explore all these, and she continues to educate me. And I've got a piece of hers today that I just completed, and it's just blocking that I'll talk about. Just a wonderful, special person, and I'm glad that I found her in my life because she's become a very good friend. So Crystal, if you're watching, I wanted to say thank you so much. You didn't have to do the video, but I really appreciated seeing the surprise and seeing all the other gifts that you got too. So thank you. With that, I will carry on now and talk about some finished objects, some works in progress, and also towards the end of the video, if you want to stick around, I'll catch you up on things that are going on in my little community. So I live here in the house with my husband Chad and my little puppy, as I mentioned, and there's lots of adventures that I'll love to catch you up on. And they won't be yarny based. Sometimes there's yarn thrown in there because we do go yarn shopping together. Pixel not so much, but so there might be some little nuggets in there too. So yeah, let's get cracking on the video and talk about my first finished object here. Now, this is a crocheted shawl. It's called the Leukone. And anything that I mention about a pattern or a YouTuber, or if I mention a tutorial on YouTube, I'm going to include it in my show notes or the description box down below in this video. So this shawl took me probably around, I'm going to say 3 weeks to complete. It is a little longer than the pattern intended because I had a huge cake of yarn to get through, and I wanted to not have so much left over at the end. So I kind of altered it a little bit by adding extra sections on it, and then a more ornate border to balance off the weight of the pattern itself, because I thought a little border might not balance it off well. So I added in 10 more rows of the border, just on the border itself, the edging. So I really enjoyed this pattern. This is the second time that I have crocheted, and it's by a designer called Claudia. Her name is Claudia Ramprecht, and so this is the pattern here. It's in black and white. I don't have a color printer at home, but this is a beautiful textural and color blended sample here of the pattern that she's created in the front cover. Now, her patterns are great because she does a row by row tick off where it's written out in long form what you do to the halfway point mark, and then you just work it back from memory going in the reverse. So it's not really spelled out for the complete row going to the center point and then back up. It's explained pretty much to the central point, and then you do the reverse of the stitch work on your own. So you're kind of like left on your own devices to kind of like go back to complete the row. Same with the chart. There is a chart on the back as well, which takes you to the halfway point, and then you just work the chart back in the reverse to complete the other mirror side of the triangle. And we can take a look more closely at it, and I do have some photographs that I'll add in because it's hard to get it all in the camera frame here. So here it is. The last time I showcased it, I was in this green to orange section, and I think I was on the bobbles here actually. So in this orange section, and I had to do all of this part here, which seems a small chunk considering the size of this shawl, but the number count of stitch work meant I was getting through a row maybe every half an hour. So it was a timely process just to do that section. So yeah, the additions that I did to the piece was that I added an extra popcorn row and then this fillet section to the end here. So there was this extra, that was extra, and then I started to do the patterns border, and I thought it's gonna be a little too shallow to sign off on this bigger piece now that I've added the extra sections. So I added in one more back post to punch out this line here, and then I repeated the start of the border 3 more times, 1, 2, 3, 3 more times, and then I finished it with the meshing. Excuse me. So I think the weight of the border is better for the amount of space. I absolutely love it. It hasn't been blocked yet, so it still has that dry, cottony, acrylic kind of feel, but there's heaps of color in it. It's great for something festive. If you're wearing it, you could wear it like in the front like a bib, or you could wear it going around the back. There's so many ways of wearing it. Oh, I should show you the back side of it. That's the back side, or the reverse side of all the stitches. Still a lovely looking pattern, but you don't get the effect of the bubbles and the ridges on the reverse side. Or I could wear it like this. Come on, work with me. Okay, we're back again. I had to stop the camera, stand up and resituate this wonderful piece because it's a huge, huge shawl. So what do you think? I absolutely love it. The colors are really blowing out in the camera. It is a bright scarf, but I can see the stitch definition in the camera. I'm not really seeing it as well, but I can see all the bubbles and all of the fillet areas really well in person. It's just blowing out on camera, but absolutely love the texture. I love the color. Now the yarn that I got, I splurged and I spoiled myself and went shopping online and went to pleta.bg, which is an online store in Bulgaria, and they shipped me this wonderful cake. It's a Stenli cake, and they sell a really good selection of their collections, and this one is called Muffin Fresh. There's no colorway name, but it does have a number on the label here. It's 101302. If you want a screen grab, there it is there. Now, this is a huge whopping cake. It packs in quite nice and tight, so it doesn't take up too much room. And it is considered, I'm going to say, somewhere between a fingering and a sport weight, so a 1 and a 2 weight. And in the cake, I got 430 grams, offering up 2,000 meters. I used most of the cake, and what I did not use, because I was carrying it around with me, we went to the cabin, I had it packed in my case, my project case, things were on top of this cake. It was starting to collapse because I was working my way from the inside out, as the cake is designed to do that with the color lengths. So as I was getting towards the outside of the cake, it collapsed and it was starting to tangle in on itself. But I managed to get as much as I could out of the cake before it got too knotted. And there were 28 grams left over when I broke my yarn to tie in and weave in the end. So unfortunately, this is what's left of that 28 grams. It's all of the orangey red. Look how much it's blowing out. And so yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Don't even know where the end is. I might be able to cut it into a fringe or do something with it. I absolutely loved this pattern a lot. And the cake as well, I was told, was designed from the center out so that the colors would be at a certain ratio, that as you work towards the edge of the cake and you're getting longer rows, like in a design like this triangle one, or you could do it in a semicircle, you're getting longer and longer rows, you're working and adding stitches to the piece, the colors get longer for that section. So it's a neat way of working through a cake and having the color coordinated to a piece that's designed like this. Now, Claudia did write to me to say that there was a specific German name for that type of cake, and I'm not going to butcher it by by trying to pronounce the German word for it, but do we have something in English that's like that? I don't think we do. But yeah, so perhaps on the website they use that term on the cake color arrangement and how much you get of each of the colors. So yeah, I've got the photographs now that I'm going to add in to this video of this shown hanging up so that you get the full experience of it and you can see the progress from the start to the end. I hope you'll enjoy the photos, and I'll be back soon with more work. Okay, what did you think? I absolutely enjoyed making that. So Hank has it back on his form and he's enjoying the warmth of it. And now we're going to move on to my second finished object, which is a knitted pattern that I found on Yarnspiration. And it's called the, let me get it correct here, Brioche Knit Zig Zag Cowl. And here it is here. It measures, when it's flat like this, it's in a tube. When it's flat, it measures 14 inches in height and 14 inches flat measurement. So the tube itself is 28 inches, but one side of it is 14. So what do you think of this? Oh my goodness, it's so squishy and delicious. So I am starting on a new found love for brioche, and I'm not very well versed in brioche. I kind of can do brioche flat, but I wanted to challenge myself a little bit with brioching with increases and decreases, and that's how the zigzagging formation or a chevron is done. And as you can tell, I don't know whether you can see it and if your eye caught it, but there are a few mistakes or learns, I'm going to say learns, about what happened when I was doing this decrease, increase, and Pixel is up. So she's barking. I'll be really quick and I'll come back after I see what she needs. But here I did an increase before when I shouldn't have done it. So I pulled it back together to keep the stitch count, and I did a decrease there. So there's a little imperfection there. And occasionally I forgot to do the decrease when I needed to. And I developed a extra stitch. There's one here. So these two are meant to meet. These two were meant to meet, but I forgot to decrease it there. So I had to pull in as soon as I found that to keep the same stitch count. Further up, halfway through the next one, I had to pull in an extra one. So I was learning along the way, but when you look at it, it looks organic enough that you don't really get to see exactly where those imperfections are. And the nice thing about learning that mistake or learning from that mistake is that further down the way, when I want to do a little eyelet, like I had done with this extra increase there, like to me, that looks like a leaf on a tree. Now that I know how to make the mistake and fix it and what it looks like, I can now start to do that in my own design work when I want to make a leaf on a tree. So yeah, absolutely love it. And I'll show you the inside as well. That's the inside. So with brioche, when you're knitting brioche, you kind of get double-sided, like if you're using two colors, you'll see one side is devoted to the color section with the background wash of the secondary color. And then when you turn it inside out, it's the kind of reverse. So I'm seeing here now the dominant color is this darker smoky purples and blues, grays, and the backdrop is that sandy June color that's on the other side. So yeah, it's not as pronounced, I think, as the front side is with all of the contrast being a bit more greater. So let's take a look. So this is how the model is wearing it on the pattern. It's a free pattern from Yarnspiration here, and I really enjoyed this pattern. I can show you the pages. So there's not many pages to the pattern. The actual instructions are only on 2 pages. Like there's a chart and there's writing here on row by row what you should do. And the first page is like measurements, gauges, and necessary materials. And then this is just the pattern here. It's quite easy to read, like as not too like confusing. And then the next 3 pages are devoted to the extra special stitches of the decrease and increase. So this is, what is this one? This is a, there we go, slip over yarn. There we go. It tells you how to do an increase and decrease, I believe. There's a left decrease and there's a right decrease. And the first one was the increase. This one here. So I think if you're ever trying to adventure into brioche, there are a couple of tips that I can highlight along the ways to make your journey a little bit more easy. I would say to bite off little chunks so that you're not daunted. And I would say work a basic flat brioche first, where you're not doing any increase or decrease in the round, because then you really only need to learn the stitches, but there are only 2 row repeat all the way around, and you're playing with the 2 yarns. Now you can choose to do a brioche using the same colored yarn, or you could switch it up and play with your contrast colors or different textures of yarn. So I would say or suggest to find a pattern or a tutorial that works it in the round. Now, the next part would be, if you're wanting to upgrade from that and learn something new, let's close that, is to work it in the flat, just a basic brioche, and you'll need to then learn 4 row repeat. And I have a good tutorial that helped me, and it's from the Nervous Knitter. I'll include that down below, and she works her piece in the flat, but the way she describes it really clicked with me. So yeah, if you want to embark on that, then please do go over and check out YouTube as a source for tutorials. So I also have done a little bit of an adventure walking through Ravelry, which is a great hub for looking at patterns. And I put together a link of brioche work just for myself, but I would like to share it with you in the case that you are exploring brioche and wanting to learn different things that brioche can do. So I'll link that Ravelry collection down below if you're wanting to explore brioche. Now, some of those patterns are free and some of those patterns in that collection are paid for, just to flag that as well. So yeah, let's look at the other way that I can wear this, and I'll talk to you about the yarn. So there we go. This is the opposite side, and I thought to myself, I could pull it out a little bit further, wear it like a shoulder rest more cowl, and then collar it up, and that could be like almost a jacket that you could put over it, and you get the inside and the outside of enjoying the different colors. And I thought, when I showed Chad this, he's like, you are channeling your inner David. So I am channeling my inner David. And so this is the other way that I thought would be really nice to wear this cowl. It's really warm. Okay, so let's take a look at the yarn that I used for this wonderful piece and learn for me. One of the yarns of the 2 was a gifted yarn, and it was by a podcaster. Her name is Judy at Witch Piece Crafts. Hi, Judy. And she had sent me this beautiful ball of yarn. It is a, what would you call that? Like a variegated, slightly variegated from smoky grays, purples, and kind of like a light ash gray. And it's Sierra from Peyton's. It's an 8-ply yarn, which is a 3-weight yarn. And in the ball, I got 150 grams, 375 meters. I believe that there's probably about 100 grams left of the ball. So I used 50 grams. Let's say 50 grams, 50 to 80 grams in the cowl. It seems like there's a lot more in there, doesn't it? So I'm going to use the rest of it for a hexagon fabric, and I'm not sure what I'm going to make, but I'm going to make hexagons that I'll join together. So I think this would be a great yarn, and I believe it's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. It's very reminiscent to me. I know that the content is different, but it does remind me a lot of Ferris wheel yarn. I don't think Ferris wheel has this exact same colorway, but it's sort of the same feel, and it has the same color treatment as well. Short bursts of different colors, and I absolutely loved working with it. So thank you so much for that, Judy. And I know you've just got back from Europe, and I hope that you had a great, oh well, I know you had a great vacation because I was watching it. And the second color that I got, I purchased this from my trip down to Illinois when I went to visit Crystal over at Bag O' Day, and it's called I Love This Yarn. That's it there. And this is what's left of the colorway called Sand Dunes. And I believe these cakes are, this yarn is 100% acrylic, and it's offered up 142 grams, and that meant that I got 252 yards or 230 meters. I probably have, I'm going to say, a quarter of the cake left. So if that's 142 grams, I think that this lot here would probably be around 50 grams left of the cake. Yeah, probably about 50 grams left. So that again will probably go into my hexagon blanket that I'm making later down the way to use up some scraps. But yeah, another thing that I found was a great tip. You might have noticed that two of those yarns were different weight sizes. So my one that I got from Judy was a 3 weight, and the other one that I got when I went to Illinois, the I Love This Yarn's a 4 weight. And I found, I did this again once before with the darker color in my color arrangement with brioche, was that I chose a lighter weight yarn for the darker color, and the lighter color was the thicker weight yarn. And it works nicer, I think, when you look at the wrong side or the opposite side where the dark is sitting, that you get to see a bit more of the contrast underneath, because the stitch work is slightly a bit smaller and not as cramped. So that's another thing that I like doing when I'm choosing the colors. I'll choose a lighter, darker weight and then a thicker, lighter weight. Does that make sense? That sounds weird. So my strand for the dark color would be thinner, and my strand for the yarn thickness of the lighter weight would be thicker. I think that's probably a better way of sort of describing it. Yeah, so lots of learns, and I really enjoyed it. It's super, super squishy. And I love this. I'm going to make more of that pattern because I think if I'm going to play around with some of those new learns for me with creating leaves on the branches, like if these are trees and I'm going to make little loops, I think I'd like to control that and maybe have them where I want them to be. But yeah, I have more yarn to get through that I have paired in combinations that are similar to this with the light and dark contrast, and I'd like to play with those. The next finished object that I want to share with you is on the blocking mat. It's all completed. It's just drying off in the shape that I want it to be, and it is to a fantastic tutorial teacher in crochet. Her name's Crystal over at Bag O' Day. Hi, Crystal. And Pixel says hi too. She's barking from downstairs. And, so this is a gift that I'm sending overseas, and I don't know whether I'll have it for next time I do a video, so I want to showcase it now, even though it's not blocked. Well, it's blocking, but here it is here. It's called the Galaxy Square. Oh my God. I absolutely enjoyed making this yesterday. It took me around 2 hours. I used some leftover yarn from Hobbii, and it's Hobbie's Cookie Yarn, which is the yarn cake that keeps on giving. I've put this in so many projects, and I still have quite an amount there to use, and I think I'll probably make the hexagon squares and put it with the leftover yarn that I have from the previous project that I showed. So the cookie yarn is, they say it's a 5 weight yarn, but it's not. It's more like You be the judge of that weight. It's probably a healthy 3-weight yarn. It does rove a little bit, so it goes probably 3, 4, 3, kind of like that sort of thickness. And the colorway is 03. I think the colorway from memory in this brown is called Amber. I think it's called Amber. But it does go through all these wonderful, rich gold, yellow browns into a deeper kind of brown color. And I really love it. So again, that's the make that I will be sending off shortly. Those blocking boards that I got, that I'm showing you with all of the crazy lines on it, they're 1 inch apart grids, and they also make, when they're all together, 9 pieces of them, make a circle. So if you're doing some stretching out of like a semicircle or a circle kind of like work, you can use all of the grids to help you pin it properly. I got it from Amazon. It was inexpensive. I'm going to say maybe around 40 bucks, 40 Canadian. And it came in a little zip up bag. Those are the other pieces that I didn't use in there. You get 9 altogether. And it came with a little kind of like case of metal pins, T-pins, and which I think I'm using some of them in there. But I love these knit blockers. This is the variety that I'm using for that square. And I got this from Temu. I think that Temu actually sponsored a video and allowed me to use a budget or something. They gave me a budget and I picked 2 of these to put in the budget. And if that's the case, I'll link it down below. It will be an affiliated link where this piece is, I guess, part of the purchase that I made. And yeah, so I'll just go and check on Pixel and see what she wants. Let's keep this train rolling, and the next stop is Whipville. I have lots of other whips on the go, some that I haven't touched for a while, so I've put them aside for a later date. And this specific episode will be talking about the second Nature's Walk that I'm going to be crocheting up. Now, if you've not heard of the Nature's Walk, I have been featuring it a few times throughout the course of, I'm going to say that the last 3 months in my videos, but it is a crocheted blanket and part of it is free. The version that I found first was this version here called the Nature's Walk, and it's by Sandra Paul. She's the creator of this wonderful design, and it uses 6 motifs. It takes you on what you'll need in the pattern with your materials, and it also explains to you if you've got trouble finding color solutions to color collection that you want to put together. It offers up a couple of kits and tells you what colors to use and samples and gives you kind of like instructions that way. It also gives you the instructions on how to put them all together and create that wonderful border as well, which I think makes the piece just that extra bit special. So again, it is a free pattern, which I'll link down below, and it gives you the 6 motifs in granny squares or the square formation that you crochet up and join together. I did something different for my first blanket. I created more squares and I wanted to get it to a larger size. So the finished size for the pattern, what it suggests is more like a lapgan style throw that you would have in your lounge room or whatever, but I wanted to be more bedspread, so I had done 80 squares in the last one. I believe there's 48 in the version that they request you to build, but I made it almost double that size for my first blanket. The one that I'm making this time round for my second one, I'm going to make it bigger again and do probably 140 squares so that it fits more on a double bed. And we'll be keeping that one at home because I absolutely love the finish of the first one so much. that I chose other colors for our home, and it'll work really nice. The second part of the pattern here is additional squares. If you're wanting to kind of extend on those 6 and create another 6 different designs, this is a paid for version that you can purchase, and I'll also include that down below in the description box. So the idea of Nature's Walk is that all of these motifs are things that you might see on a little wander through the garden, or if you go off into a little pathway down a park or something. So there are things like, you know, the garden gate, or there's flowers, or there's leaves, there's stars, and there's sun rays. So it's a wonderful story that I think about when I'm creating all of the different tiles. So let's take a look at the first color that I have chosen for the second one and what I've done with them. So this is the color of the first ball of yarn that I finished, and it's from James C. Brett Top Value. It's a double knitting, so all of the yarn will be DK weight yarn, and I'm using my 3.5mm crochet hook. It's in the color Sage, and it's 100% acrylic. So all of the yarns that I'm using are relatively inexpensive, and they're economic, good value yarn. So I have done the square here. It's called Wheat, and it's in the bonus bundle of the pack that I showed. Now, the nice thing about the pattern also is that it is available in both UK terminology for crochet and also US terminology. So if you are shopping around for the bonus bundle, or if you're wanting to print out the copy of the free version, then just be aware that there are 2 versions out there, and you can choose which one you want that you are familiar with your crochet instructions. So yeah, this is Wheat, and I got out of that 100-gram ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay, I've had to run downstairs again. You may be hearing in the background some noises. Pixel's just learning to be independent downstairs. We're trying to train her to use the house kind of in a more responsible way. So we're giving her a little bit of leeway and responsibility on being on her own. So you may hear her sulking downstairs, or that she wants to come up and play, but because at times we need to train her to sort of keep herself occupied or enjoy the space. That's where we're at right now. And I think she's doing a good job. Like, we can trust her a little bit more now. But let's see what the state of the place is downstairs when I go back down. Carrying on in Whitville, because we're still there, I have made some progress on the squares that I had left over from the first Nature's Walk blanket that I did. And I thought, well, I'm gonna pin it all down together so that you can see, and I can talk about my idea for those extra squares that I had left over. I did have to create some new ones, and I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity just to play with more yarn and also see whether I like some of the motifs that I didn't get a chance to put in the first blanket that were from the bonus bundle. So here are some of those extra leftover squares, and here are also some additional ones that I did in the last couple of days. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be making a patchwork pillowcase or cushion case, and I've got the cushion from my mother-in-law. She gave me a whole bag of them, so I think I have maybe 9 or 10 cushions, and I will be making pillowcases out of the motifs. So these are this is the first side of the pillowcase or the cushion case, and I had created this version that I did not get a chance to do in the last iteration, or the last blanket that I did, and it's called Blossom. I like it. I do like the design of it, and I like that the holes aren't too big and gaping, and it really suits the pattern nicely. And I've chosen these colors for this side of the pillowcase, and on the other side, because I want to also have it reversible so that I can flip the cushion over if I want to for different colors, is this side here. And you can see that I'm missing one because I'm going to do that one today. But the new one for me is this one here called Butterfly. So it's in this purple. And I'm not too sure whether I'm going to put that in my next blanket, because I find that the holes are a little bit too big for me. Like the fillet section seems to be a bit gaping, so I might leave this one out of my blanket version that I'm creating. But these are the colors of the second one that I'm putting in. So as you can see, both sides of the pillow will be a different kind of color palette, and I can flip them around to suit whatever decor I have in the room at the time. Just put that there. And I believe that is all of the works in progress that I've got for you today, that I've been working on the last couple of days. I do have a hoodie sweater vest that I'm also doing in cables. That's a knitted one, and I've been slowly slugging away at that, but there's no real development to talk about on that one. But it is still in progress, and I wanted to flag that it's still happening. Hopefully I'll get to work on it this week sometime while I'm off. And I'm going to switch gears now and talk about some things that I've been doing in the community. So if you want to stick around, please do. You're more than welcome to. But if you're just here for the yarning goodies, I want to say thank you for watching this far into the video, and I will catch you in the next one. So let's see what's been going on in the community. The biggest thing that I can think of that's kind of an eventful, sightful thing, because it is a beautiful sight to behold, is the salmon run that's coming through our area right now. So the salmon have been going around the world in different oceans, you know, whatever, and then they get this calling to go back to where they were born, and they will then also spawn to keep the species alive. So they are driven back up through these causeways here, where we have an estuary, and then it goes into a river. So our river closest to us, which is only a stone throw away, is called the Puntledge River. And right now it's just teeming with salmon, different species, and they're going upriver, and it's such a wonderful sight to behold. I've actually gone on a couple of walks with Pixel, and I've taken some footage. You may have seen it. I might be putting one in the intro here of the video, so you might have seen that. But towards the end as well, I've got more, so you'll be able to enjoy what I see on a daily basis. It is a bit stinky, because once the fish have spawned, they do die off. So there's a lot of activity that happens by the river side, and that's bird life, and creatures come down to feed. So it's a little bit of a precarious time for Pixel to be around too. So we keep her on a leash, because we don't want her to come face to face with any wildlife that's kind of big game, kind of wildlife down feeding at the river. We do live in a small town, so I do say that we share this area very much. It's evident with Mother Nature and the wildlife, because there have been bear sightings recently around the riverways, and you know, there's even things like mountain lions here as well, and wolves and coyotes. So we do have to be a little bit careful with Pixel being on a lead or leash. So yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. We also went to the cabin, and we enjoyed a weekend there, which was probably one of the last nice days that we had enjoying the sunset before it turned and got really cold and wet. And we were looking after Chad's parents have a dog who's a Wheaton as well, and her name's Muggins, and she is a 13, maybe 13-year-old dog. So we were enjoying the cabin, enjoying the pooches, time with the dogs, walking them, and we love letting Pixel run around along the beach, and she hasn't gotten into the water yet to swim, but she will wade in up to maybe her chest, and she'll get sticks where we throw them in. But there is a friendship that she's sparked up with the neighbor's dog, who's similar age to her, larger in stature, like she's quite a tall dog, and she's a standard poodle. So she follows her around like her shadow, and just loves the way that she can bound around and sort of get around on her four legs and how graceful she is. So she's a swimmer. So we're hoping that maybe next summer when Mia goes into the water, because that's the dog's name from down the way, that Pixel will jump in and follow her. Because I like that the dogs won't be afraid of water. Like, we don't want Pixel to be afraid of water, that she can go in and swim around, and it's a good skill to have as well if she needs to do that for herself, that she has that under her wing. And my notes also say here, oh yes, we took Pixel. I'm going to be talking about Pixel a lot because you asked for Pixel stories and Pixel photos and footage. So I've been indulging with sprinkling them here and there on things that she gets up to. But we had so much fun with her on a beach. I think it might have been one of her first experiences on a sandy beach. And she just ran crazy for hours, up and down, and she got covered in sand. Her fur and her sand got wet, and it just picked up all this sand. So I think she weighed maybe about 4 pounds heavier with all the water and sand that was in her fur. So me and Chad brought her home, and we spent a full hour in the bathroom washing her, getting all that muck out of her fur, and then toweling her off, drying her, and combing the hair out, because she has hair, she's hyperallergenic, that we have to be conscientious about keeping tangles out of her fur, because we like it longer length now that it's getting winter as well. It's a nice coat to have on, keep her warm. And that's the type of fur hair that mats, and then you have to get it cut out, because some of those mats won't come out if you don't brush regularly. So yeah, that was an ordeal. Imagine Lucio Ball or Doris Day in a situation where Dirty Dog is in the bathroom, and then there's like lots of shaking and everything just flies everywhere. So that was me and Chad in the bathroom with Pixel. Yeah, so we've been enjoying walking Pixel, and at all times of the day, and her best time of walking she prefers at night time. So she's a bit of a nocturnal creature. She'll listen to us at night time. She stays closer at night time. She's like not so adventurous and distracted during the day. And one of the times we took her out on this one nice fine evening, and it was probably about 2 weeks ago, we saw something strange in the sky that looked like they were a string of UFOs. I know, strange, hey, that these things happen in the smallest towns of the countryside. Anyway, so we figured out that it was Elon Musk's string of Starlink. So it's a satellite that Elon Musk has going around our globe, our world, and it provides service, I guess, of internet service to people that are in remote locations. So it was an interesting sight, because it looked like something out of this world. Well, it is out of this world. It's not even on the world, but it's sort of up there in the stratosphere. But I don't know, have you seen it? It's quite an interesting thing to see, especially if you don't know what it is. But lucky for us, we kind of figured it out, and Chad said, no, I know what that is. That's the Starlink. Anyway, who would have known? So Pixel, as you know, had completed her puppy training. She graduated from class. It was a 6-week program. And we liked it, or well, Chad liked it so much because he was taking her to the classes during my working time. And we booked her into a Wednesday evening class, so now I can go with him to the class for the next level class, which is called an intermediate. And the first day that we were there, it was 4 poodle based dogs, like, what do they call them, doodles? There was 4 different doodles. There was our one, which is a Wheaton poodle. There was a sheepadoodle, which is similar to what Crystal at Back a Day has. There was a labradoodle, and there was a golden retriever doodle. Oh my goodness. So all the doodles together in 4 corners of this little pen, and all they wanted to do was play with each other. It was kind of like a distraction. But I think when we got the booklet of what to do at home to practice our training, Pixel was more focused. And we even found this agility course, which is up the way from us, maybe about 45-minute drive, at a place called Campbell River. And we found this agility course, which we took Pixel around. So there were kind of bridges for dogs to go over and little tunnels for them to run through, things to jump over. Pixel picked it up in 5 minutes. We had to lead her with a treat, but she went over everything. She went over, through, under, everything that needed to be done, she did with just the one treat in 5 minutes. And we were like, oh my God, she's so clever. She's really, really clever. And she surprises us all the time. So big part of her training right now that we have to give her some independence down in the home and let her have some responsibility that we found in the last 3 months was her teething was an issue, and she was biting everything. So she's got all of her adult teeth now, which is good at 6 months. There may be one stray still in her mouth, I'm not too sure, but most of them are the adult teeth that have come through. And she's still like gnawing on some things. We've got a lot of play toys for her, a lot of chew stuffies. She likes chewing on her blanket. She's already gone through 2 beds that we had purchased from pet stores. One was a fluffy thing that we had hoped that she would like as a day bed, but went through that, pulled out the stuffing, and we had to put that away. I probably will mend it as best I can so that when she's a bit older, we can return that back to her when she's not biting as much or chewing. And the other one, we heard such good reviews about a product called Kong, and they also sell heavy duty beds. So we bought her a mattress to go into her crate that she loves to sleep in. And we thought, this is lasting, because it lasted 3 days. But then clever little Pixel discovered that there was a zip that she could unzip. She unzipped it, and she chewed up all the stuffing. And the next day when we came in and we saw that she had managed to unzip the heavy duty covering, I mean, there was something a little strange about the zip. Like it seemed to not be zipping up properly. So maybe whether she got into the imperfection of the zip or whether she learned how to unzip it herself, who knows. But she managed to chew up all the stuffing. So that's also been taken out there. And the best thing that we have for her to use in her crate now is just like a very inexpensive sheet blanket sort of thing that she tends not to want to bite, because I don't think she enjoys the flavor of it. So that's kind of good. And I think that catches you up with what I've been doing here in my little community, and lots of stories about Pixel. Now, what I've been watching, what can I recommend for you to watch? Because it's Halloween, and while you're crafting away in your little area where you craft and you want something to watch, maybe to keep yourself entertained, has been it's kind of like a thriller spooky show that we finished watching. and I think it might be a franchise because we see that there are other series of this that are being planned to be launched in the future, and it's called Red Rose. Now, it's a British production mini-series, and I think there might be around 9 episodes inside of the one package, Red Rose. And because it's Halloween, maybe that's something that you'll enjoy watching, and let me know what you think if you've already seen it. With that, I think that catches you up on everything. I will see you in the next video. I've got to go down and see whether there's any damages to the downstairs area now that I've been away for about half an hour. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.